Hello and welcome to this video about psychology at the ANU. Here we're looking to give you a bit of an overview about what it's like to study psychology, and in particular, what it's like to study psychology here at the Australian National University. So my name is Erin Newman. I'm a cognitive psychologist at the ANU. I'm also the Associate Director of Education in Psychology. So in my role, I'm both a researcher but I'm also an educator in the School of Medicine and Psychology. So what is psychology? Here's one definition. It's the systematic scientific study of behavior of humans and other animals, and of human thought and emotion. Another definition that really converges here is that psychology is the scientific study of how people behave, how they learn, think, feel, and also respond. So it's a behavioral science in that the conclusions we draw are based on the measurement of human behavior. And I guess an associated question is, how do we measure human behavior? In psychology, you'll learn that we do this through surveys, asking people about their experiences, feelings, and evaluations. But we also measure behavior with experiments. So for instance, we see how people make decisions in groups under different conditions, or we examine how people evaluate the truth of claims, for instance, depending on the source that a claim came from. So when you study psychology, you'll learn about very broad areas of research, which I'll go into detail when I talk about the courses. But just to give you a bit of a flavour of the topics you might consider over the course of your degree, you'll learn about how children develop, how people allocate their attention on screens or even when they're driving. You'll consider how social relationships can work to enhance health. We'll examine how memory can go awry and the implications of that, for example, for eyewitness memory. Through cognitive and social psychology, we'll look at how you can enhance collective action on climate change and how effective we are in identifying emotions. You'll examine recent work, like looking at how people can identify whether a given face is real or whether it's AI generated. And you'll even explore how the brain responds to certain stimuli. Over the course of your degree, you'll also learn about research methods, how we design experiments, collect data, how we analyze data, and in particular, how to interpret findings to inform our understanding across all of these different topic areas. So, where will psychology take you in a career? So some of you might be thinking about clinical psychology, where you specialize in promoting psychological health in individuals, families, organizations, and communities. So that may already be of interest to you. But because of the broad scope of skills and knowledge that you will acquire over a psychology degree, things like critical thinking, research methods, data analysis, advanced writing and communication skills, your career opportunities are vast. And recent analyses of job adverts from across New Zealand and Australia suggest that an undergraduate degree in psychology actually positions you well for up to 25% of recent job advertisements. The alignment of psychology across a range of different careers is varied. So I'm just going to highlight a few of those for you here. So you can think of sports psychology, how one can enhance leadership in teams and increase cohesion. You can think about organizational psychology. So how can we develop effective leaders with productive and engaged teams? You can think about policy. What are the best responses in a crisis? How can communities be best supported? Human resources, supporting teams in healthy work environments. You can also think about marketing. What captures people's attention and how do messages stick? Educational psychology. How do we facilitate learning? How do we support students to flourish? Developmental psychology. So here we're looking at how students or children learn emotion regulation. which educational programs work for who. We can also consider measurement and surveys. So whether it is a workplace or whether it's a community, how do we create effective surveys and measurement to really understand things like well-being right through to effective communication strategies? You can think about community well-being and health. How can we support well-being in the broader community and understanding what the diverse needs are? You can also think about forensic context. So what jury instructions are effective and how can we support jury members, particularly in a criminal justice context? So as a student at the ANU, you gain access to the ANU Careers Central. This is an online career development and employability tool that includes a job board and careers resources. You also have access to drop-in chats and meetings with a career consultant and to attend things like our careers fair, which gives you the opportunity to meet potential employers. So in short, you have excellent resources throughout your degree to really think about strategically moving towards your goals. So another big question here is, why ANU Psychology? So we offer a unique experience in psychology, founded in 1949, over 70 years of history. In ANU Psychology, there are world-class teachers and researchers actively involved in cutting-edge research. So that is, we have internationally leading researchers who are teaching our courses with the goal of helping you to understand the concepts and critically how to apply them in real-world settings. There's a high level of interaction with teaching staff and really a sense of community. So you have the ability to engage face-to-face with lecturers and tutors. There are laboratory and tutorial classes associated with nearly every undergraduate course. And then there's the opportunity to build your research skills with research projects as an elective course that you can take. I'll talk a little bit more about that soon. The courses cover a wide range of psychological topics, and I'll get into that in a little bit more detail. And our teachers create really lively teaching environments where student engagement and participation is really highly valued. We have a commitment to student wellbeing, which works hand in hand with a commitment to supporting students to achieve personal excellence, so being the best that they can be in their studies. And there are many reasons why you might select the ANU more generally, one being the high international ranking and recognition, but there are others too, including the diverse student body, students from around about 100 countries from around the world, 6 Nobel laureates among our staff and alumni, 4 in health and medicine, and the world's first integrated school of medicine and psychology, which is where you will complete your degree. So, what are the different ways in which you can study psychology at the ANU? So you can structure your degree in psychology in a number of different ways. We have a named degree, that's the Bachelor of Science Psychology. This is a 3-year degree and it offers concentrated study in psychology, particularly for students who want a thorough exploration of the discipline and then also the opportunity for specialisation in the 3rd year. So it includes courses in the major substantive areas in psychology, and you'll also have the option of applying for an honours year, and that really depends on academic performance towards the end of your 3rd year of study. You can also study psychology as a major, both in the Bachelor of Science or Arts, and there's also the Bachelor of Philosophy honours degree that you can consider as well. We have combined degrees across law and psychology, for example, but you can design that in a range of interesting ways, considering broad topics that you might strategically combine together. So the goal is to really structure your degree to support your goals and align that with your interests. So the course requirements and the courses you need to take vary a little bit between whether you're completing a named degree or studying psychology as a major. But just to give you an example, let's look at the Bachelor of Science Psychology. So here you can see that over the course of your degree, you'll gain a foundation of initially an introduction into psychology in the first year, and then over the second and third years, you'll start to gain a more nuanced understanding of specific areas in psychology, with the electives that you can use to complement the required courses that you'll be taking in your program of research and study. In the first year, you'll take Psych 1003 and 1004. In Psych 1003, you will examine topics like how do we comprehend and learn information, and how do perceptual systems work. In 1004, you'll examine topics like how does the social environment influence the way people think and behave? Are there stable personality traits that determine people's behaviors across time in different situations? In second year, in the Bachelor of Science Psychology, you'll study Psych 2012, so it's culture and psychology. And in this course, you'll examine topics like the concept of culture and how psychological science is a product of the culture in which psychologists are embedded. You'll also look at Psych 2011, that's social psychology, and you'll examine topics like the social self-concept, social judgment, attitudes, and also persuasion. You'll also complete cognition, and here you examine topics like methodological approaches to cognitive psychology. You'll explore attention and consciousness, and also learn about emotions, learning, memory, and also decision making. You'll also look at the biological basis of human behavior, examining topics like how the brain works, with a particular focus on understanding aspects of brain function that are particularly important in psychology. You'll examine quantitative methods in psychology, and there you'll examine topics like quantitative techniques that are widely used in psychological research, including applications of statistical techniques in the design and analysis of experiments and surveys, but also in psychological measurement. In Psych 3025, these are the third year courses, you'll explore psychopathology across the lifespan. So in this course, you'll look at topics like the integrative approach to psychological disorders, in which abnormal behavior and psychopathology are contrasted with what we might call normal functioning. You'll explore personality psychology, so this is where you'll critically review and discuss key theoretical and empirical approaches to personality. We'll also explore health psychology, so this is where you examine factors that influence our health, challenges posed by lifestyles and behaviours, and how interventions can be used to help change people's health-related behaviours. Developmental psychology is another third year course, and here you'll look at how much of our behaviour is learned or innate, how much does the culture in which we're raised affect the person we become, what is the relationship between our childhood behaviours and experiences and also our adult self. You'll also do an extended course on advanced research methods, and here you'll look at advanced material on the quantification of uncertainty, statistical prediction. You'll learn about effect sizes and further develop your ability to interpret results and look at statistics and scientific understanding. And critically, you're designing your degree. So here are just a sample of courses that allow you to broaden your expertise. And these electives, I'll just add them up here, focus on things like the science of well-being and how to translate the science into practice to help support people to flourish. There's options there to explore forensic psychology, from understanding jury decision-making right through to lie detection. You'll also have the opportunity to study group processes and leadership. And Psych 3016 and 3015 have a focus on neuropsychology and brain sciences. So you can see that there are broad topics that you can consider when you're looking to further specialise in your psychology degree. There's also a course that focuses on industrial and organisational psychology. So that's often looking at the psychology of the workplace and covering topics including leadership. So in these courses, you will learn in lectures, You'll work with fellow students in our tutorials and labs, and you'll engage critically with content. Our courses feature something we call authentic assessment. That is, we want you to develop skills that you will use when you finish your degree, and we target those in our teaching and assessment, as well as core knowledge in the discipline of psychology. So you can find this list of learning outcomes online for each of your degrees, but let me highlight a few pieces for you here. So in psychology, we have a range of key learning outcomes that we target, and all of these feed into the careers list that I showed you earlier. So what will you learn? You'll learn to understand and critically evaluate, apply, and integrate psychological knowledge in educational and professional contexts. You'll learn to develop and engage in a range of skills and methods to identify, analyze, and critique, and also respond to complex problems. You'll learn to systematically identify relevant psychological theory and concepts, and then relate those to appropriate methodologies and evidence to support you in drawing appropriate conclusions. You'll learn to apply appropriate psychological research methods, including statistical techniques, to evaluate data. There's a strong focus on communication and development on advanced writing skills. You'll work and learn in both independent and collaborative ways with others to encompass diverse abilities and perspectives on psychological issues. And critically, you'll learn to examine psychological knowledge and skills and their application from diverse cultural perspectives, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's perspectives. And you'll learn to utilise psychological knowledge and skills for exercising personal, professional, and social responsibility as a global citizen. And during your degree, there are opportunities to connect and engage more deeply with psychology. So through the ANU Psych Society, they run fantastic events over the course of the year, helping you to think about your career pathway, but also to connect with other students and supporting peer-to-peer mentorship. There are really neat opportunities to participate in undergraduate research conferences, so I want to highlight that for you here. And if I was to say something in short, it would be that we really encourage you to take advantage of the rich campus experience that the ANU has to offer, to really develop your skills and connections within the ANU community. So beyond an undergraduate degree, there are several postgraduate pathways that you may also be interested in. So there's an additional honours year. This is for applicants achieving a high academic standard. You'll be eligible to apply for a place in the 4th year psychology honours program. So the honours program involves a concentrated 4th year that builds on the knowledge and skills that you have developed during your undergraduate degree. It's an exciting time of professional and intellectual development where you can really immerse yourself in psychology and become better acquainted with the central features of academic life. So this includes things like seminars and workshops, presentation of work to colleagues, thinking more about research design and also communication of scientific findings. And then this year also feeds into several postgraduate pathways, such as a master's or a PhD in research. The alternatives here is that if you're thinking or aiming to develop a career as a professional psychologist, you might be interested in the Masters of Professional Psychology. So there's a great video by Associate Professor Kristen Murray who explains all about this program. That's linked here in the details. Another program I wanted to highlight for you is a program in clinical psychology. There are a couple of different pathways there, which are highlighted on the website link I've added there. So I encourage you to explore these and sort of more broadly thinking about where you want to take your psychology degree. As I noted earlier in the presentation, there are already broad pathways when you finish a bachelor's degree in psychology. These are just further extensions for you to think about, if you wanted to take your studies a little bit further. So I hope this video has given you some insights into what a psychology degree might be like at the ANU, the career pathways that may be available to you if you pursue a degree in psychology. And I hope it's given you a sense of the kind of community that's here at the ANU. We really welcome you and hope to see you in ANU Psychology soon.